Hello, everyone. This is the Legacy of Leaders show, and I'm your host, Jon Heymann. I have a very unique guest with me today. Her name is Terri Sherman. She does some really interesting work, and I want her to explain it. Terri, good to have you on the show today.
Thank you for
Tell
having
me
me.
a little bit about yourself, what you do, and why you do it.
Absolutely. I'm a certified business intermediary with Florida Business Exchange. So I sell businesses. So I specialize in what we call Main Street. So think of your true mom and pop independent concept, your local dry cleaners, your favorite bar, your nail shop, barber shop, doctor's office. So anything that has annual revenue typically for my customers is going to be up to about 2.5 million, maybe 3 is the max. And it's anywhere throughout Florida, but I'm based here in Jacksonville. I'm in the Jacksonville office. This is home, born and raised here. So Jacksonville, in about a 2-hour radius, is kind of my footprint.
That is very unique. Now, you mentioned barbershop. Not sure I need one, but thank you for mentioning it.
Yes, my
I'm just
pleasure.
kidding. So tell me a little bit about, you said something about $2.5 million. Is that your cap?
Yes.
Or can you go above that?
We can go above that as a company with Florida
Okay.
Business Exchange. We have a mergers and acquisitions division.
Okay.
So think of your really large companies, still small business, right? But annual revenue maybe up to about 15, 20 million.
Okay.
So my personal cap is that 2.5, 3 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is going to be a unique question.
Sure.
Can nonprofits participate in your services?
You know, you're only the second person in 12 years to ask me that.
Really?
And it was actually this year. Prior to that, I would never have given that any thought.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, maybe,
Yeah.
but there's not a whole lot of, I guess, data there. I've never come across it. I've never really seen it in our multiple listing service, our MLS, but I'm thinking there has to be a way for that to come up at some point. I'm just not informed there, but it's got my wheels turning for sure.
Well, maybe I'll talk with you after the show is over. There's 2 very good nonprofits that did go out of business a number of years ago that I wished would have been acquired by another nonprofit that perhaps could have kept their fantastic services, which involved buildings, services where people came to the buildings. Anyhow, so give me some examples of ones that you've actually done, not the nonprofits,
Absolutely.
what you have
I'd
done.
be happy to. Earlier this year, actually, I sold a distribution company, and think of them like jobbers. So basically they would distribute hardware and tools and things to the Caribbean. There was no housed inventory. The business had been around over 30 years, just a really neat business. And it's been that, and then you go all the way down to a small company some years ago that placed and maintained aviaries in nursing homes. So they would place I guess like a piece of furniture ultimately. It was an enclosed aviary, and then they would place the birds and, decorate it and then maintain it almost like a cleaning route. So it's so varied, and it's just so neat to connect with the community in that way and just see what someone's taken from a lot of times inception to reality, to a full-scale business. It's just, I'm in school every week.
What do you add to the process of one company acquiring another? What do you add to that?
That's a really great question. So in my mind, it really is about the opportunity and the positioning. So you made the point earlier about the nonprofits being acquired by another. Most likely they were complementary in some way, right? If you're going to acquire something. So then you start thinking about, well, who is the right target for this? Who's the right buyer for this? Is it another company, which could be a competitor directly, or is it a company that perhaps can do some kind of vertical add-on where now they can house some service that they offer or delegate or outsource and offer it in-house? So really for me, it's about trying to think through the positioning of the opportunity, finding the right buyer ultimately, and then taking them through the entire process from start to finish.
I'm going to imagine that the buyers that you deal with are not always knowledgeable about what's out there to acquire.
True.
Is that correct?
It is correct.
Yeah.
It is correct.
So so they use you add the service of, oh my gosh, you're interested? Well, guess what? I've got 4 companies
That's right.
that might fit your portfolio.
Let's take a look. Just before coming here, in fact, I had a call with an inquirer, came through our system and made an inquiry. And I asked, well, what are you looking for? Well, I'm open. Well, what's your background? What's your experience been in? What industry are you in currently? To really match them to the right opportunity. So you're right.
Because a lot of successful business folks would like to acquire something, not to run another one.
Correct.
They want passive income.
Yes.
So they will acquire it, let it still stay,
Yes.
but add some capital so that the company can thrive and grow. I'm
That's
guessing
right.
that's usually
That's
the
right.
motivation.
And when
Yeah.
you think about it, a lot of times, if you're acquiring a cash flowing business, you're also inheriting their customer base, you're
Right.
inheriting their employees, you're inheriting their tangible assets
Yeah.
too. So
Yep.
it's just a great way, even for an existing business, to think about expansion, to your point, without having to start from the ground up and put in all of that work to get it
Yeah,
off
all
the
that
ground.
energy, they can just invest financially and
For sure.
see a return on their part, and the company that was acquired and ends up surviving.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here, Terri. Terri Sherman was our guest. This is the Legacy of Leaders show, and I'm your host, Jon Heymann. Have a wonderful day.